All right, here we go. So we want to know why are they arguing Scontus and the libtards from ACLU arguing against the Tennessee ban on transgender minors mutilation. This is Bill SB001. It's a PDF file. I will link it in the description below. It's capital.tennessee.gov/bills. So this is what I found, and it looks like it's an act to amend a Tennessee code, Title 28, 29, 33, 34, as you can see here, that it is all of these titles here. Here, let me get my cursor in there. So as you could see, all of this. Let me get situated here. So related to medical care of the young. So this is to amend the bill, and I didn't know that either, but we're still finding things out. And here we go. It's to be enacted by the General Assembly of the State of Tennessee. Section 1, Tennessee Code, as Title 68 is amended by adding the following as a new chapter. So they could be, when I've done 2 videos, I just had the second video put up just a little while ago. So they were arguing different things, and they're talking about the bill, and I kept saying, why are they just not talking about the minors and stuff? So I don't know. I would have to go and look at every one of these bills, since this is an amendment to all these other this bill that's already there for addressing a lot of issues dealing with minors. Excuse me. So here we go. Here we go. Let me make sure I got it in there for you. The legislation declares that it must take action to protect the health and welfare of minors. The legislature determines that medical procedures that alter a minor's hormonal balance, remove a minor's sex organs, or otherwise change a minor's physical appearance are harmful to a minor when these medical procedures are performed for the purpose of enabling a minor to identify with or live as a purported identity inconsistent with the minor's sex, or treating purported discomfort or distress from a discordance between the minor's sex and asserted identity. These procedures can lead to the minor becoming irreversibly sterile, having increased risk of disease or illness, or suffering from adverse and sometimes fatal psychological consequences. Moreover, the legislature finds it likely that not all harmful effects associated with these types of medical procedures when performed on a minor are yet fully known. As many as these procedures, when performed on a minor for such purposes, are experimental in nature and not supported by high-quality, long-term medical studies, which is true. I mean, how much of this do we know? That I'm of doing this on a young person. Sorry about that. I just hit that thing. I guess it did that to you guys. So I'm just making sure I'm getting all this in here. Long-term studies, and we've just been hearing about this just the last few years. It's that sometimes, I mean, hell, it took them decades to realize, oh, smoking causes cancer. Oh, for disclosure, I do smoke. I try to vape, but I don't like it. But yeah, I need to quit. But anyway, the point is that smoking causes cancer. Okay? So, and it took a long time. Then they put the warnings on the label. Put warnings on the label. So we need some warnings on this type of procedure here. Let's see. The legislature determines that there is evidence that medical procedures that alter a minor's hormonal balance, remove or minor sex organ, or otherwise change minor's physical appearance and not consistent with the professional medical standards when the medical procedures are performed for the purpose of enabling a minor to identify with or live as reportedly identity inconsistent with the minor's sex or treating reported discomfort or distress from a discordance between the minor's sex and asserted identity because a minor's discordance can be resolved by less invasive approaches that are likely to result in better outcomes for the minor. So, and the discordance can be resolved by a less invasive because, man, this surgery is seriously invasive. The legislature finds that medical procedures are being performed on and administered to minors in this state for such purposes, notwithstanding the risks and harms to the minors. Okay. I got to make sure I keep up where I'm at, people. The legislation finds that Dr. John Money, one of the earliest advocates of performing or administering such medical procedures on minors and a founder of the Johns Hopkins Gender Identity Clinic, oh my God, abused minors entrusted to his care, resulting in the offing of David and Brian Raymer. Ooh. Wow. I did not know this. Wow. Huh. Wow. He's one of the earliest advocates, and they're saying that his medical procedures on minors and founder, he abused minors? Maybe because they entrusted him with doing the the unthinkable to their privates. The legislation finds that such medical procedures are being performed and administered to minors in this state with rapidly increasing frequency, and that supposed guidelines advocating such treatment have changed substantially in recent years. The legislation finds that minors lack the maturity to fully understand and appreciate the life-altering consequences of such procedures, and that many individuals have expressed regret for medical procedures that were performed or administered to them for such purposes when they were minors, which that's common sense. And then if y'all watched my second video, and I'm still not done, I still probably got another hour and a half left of the arguments. But I found this because I thought I wanted a little more context in what is Tennessee arguing. What are they presenting to the basis of what they're presenting to the Supreme Court? Is this amendment to a bill that's already there? So that's why I think in prior, when I was saying, well, why are they talking about this? Why are they talking about that? Because I think there was other things in this bill that addresses these other things, but this is the initial thing, the thing, right? The total thing. And just a minor making such a, and it's not a minor decision, no pun intended. Well, yeah, it was. So, because it's forever, it can't be altered. The legislation finds that many of the same pharmaceutical companies that contributed to the opiate epidemic have sought to profit from the administration of drugs or use of devices on minors with such purposes and have paid consultant fees to physicians who then advocate for administrations of drugs and use of devices for such purposes. Whoa. Now, I guess they're going to have evidence if they're going to combat this in court in front of the Supreme Court, that them just adding this is there's got to be some evidence behind it, which I've heard of a lot of this, saying that these doctors, these pharmaceutical companies can make millions and millions of dollars on treating these people, because how many people are going to be taking puberty blockers? I don't understand how much money they could be making off of this. It's such a small minute, but if they're getting this to happen all over the world, these companies are, because if we just look at us in a bubble, what is the percentage of the kids who had already been trying to take these drugs compared to the overall youth of America? It's probably not that high, but if they're selling the same drugs to other people all across the world, European countries, these other countries that are doing the same thing, because we know liberalism and the woke has spread like a virus, like a plague upon the land. But yeah, the legislation finds that health care providers in this state have sought to perform such surgeries on minors because the surgeries make a lot of money and are huge money makers, not necessary because the surgeries are in a minor's best interest, which is true. Because I think it's psychological. I don't think it's because that other woman for the ACLU voting against this kept saying that it's a health issue. That it's dire. This is a health issue. Legislation finds that healthcare providers in this state have threatened employees for conscientiously objecting for religious, moral, or ethical reasons to performing or administering such medical procedures. Wow. That is insane. The legislation finds that healthcare providers in this state have posted pictures of naked minors online to advertise such surgeries. Oh my God. They should be arrested. I don't care. If they can't say that it's this is medical. I don't know. I don't know where to go with this. This is insane. The legislation finds that Planned Parenthood of Tennessee and North Mississippi, or organizations responsible for killing tens of thousands of unborn children, has become one of the largest administrators in this state of such medical procedures. Wow. Well, you're in trouble. If abortionists want this too, they just want to kill, and then if you're born, they want to destroy you. They want to destroy you. This is insane. The legislation declares that the integrity and public respect of the medical profession are significantly harmed by healthcare providers performing and administering such medical procedures on minors. This state has a legitimate, substantial, and compelling interest in protecting minors from physicians and emotional harm. This state has a legitimate, substantial, and compelling interest in protecting the ability of minors to develop into adults who can create children of their own. This state has legitimate, substantial, and compelling interest in promoting the dignity of minors. This state has legitimate, substantial, and compelling interest in encouraging minors to appreciate their sex, particularly as they undergo puberty. Now, I did hear them bring that up in my first. I did 2 videos, so in my second video, I heard them bringing this up that Tennessee just wants them to appreciate that they're a girl or a boy. Wow. This state has legitimate, substantial, and compelling interest in protecting the integrity of the medical profession, including by prohibiting medical procedures that are harmful, unethical, immoral, experimental, or unsupported by high quality of long-term studies, or that might encourage minors to become disdainful of their sex. Therefore, it is the purpose of this chapter to prohibit medical procedures from being administered to or performed on minors when the purpose of the medical procedure is to enable a minor to identify with or live as purportedly identity inconsistent with the minor's sex, or treat reported discomfort or distress from a discordance between the minor's sex and asserted identity. Because it's not a physical thing, it's not a health thing, it's a mental thing. So this is how I'm reading this. So if somebody's distressed, depressed, distressed, it what, automatically you're going to encourage them that they need to do this. This is how I'm reading this, but this is how I'm understanding it. As used in this chapter, congenital defect means a physical or chemical abnormal presence in a minor that is inconsistent with the normal development of a human being of the minor's sex, including abnormalities caused by a medically verifiable disorder or sex development, but does not include gender dysphoria, gender identity disorder, gender incongruency, or any mental condition, disorder, disability, or abnormality, which is true. I mean, gender incongruency, gender identity has nothing to do with health. That's mental health. That's not physical health. That their body parts are rotten and they need to be removed. Healthcare provider means a healthcare professional, establishment, or facility licensed, registered, certified, or permitted pursuant to this title or Title 63 and graduated under the authority of the Department of Health, an agency, board, council, or committee attached to the Department of Health, or the Health Facilities Commission. Medical procedure includes, but is not limited to, surgical removing, modifying, altering, or entering into tissue, cavities, or organs of a human being, or prescribing, administering, or dispensing any drug or device to a human being. Minor means an individual under 18 years of age. Parent means a biological, legal, or adoptive parent or parents of the minor or any legal guardian of the minor. And sex means a person's immobility characteristics of the reproductive system that define the individual as male or female, as determined by autonomy and genetics existing at the time of birth. Prohibitions. A healthcare provider shall not perform or offer to perform on a minor or administer or offer to administer to a minor a medical procedure if the performance or administration, of the procedure is for the purpose of enabling a minor to identify with or live as reported identity inconsistent with the minor's sex, or treating purported discomfort or distress from a discordance between the minor's sex and asserted identity. This is really interesting. It is not a violation of subsection if a healthcare provider performs or offers to perform a medical procedure or administers or offers to administer a medical procedure to a minor if the performance or administration of the medical procedure is to treat a minor's congenital defect, disease, or physical injury, or the performance administration of the medical procedure on the minor began prior to the effective date of this act. For purposes of subdivision, disease does not include gender dysphoria, gender identity disorder, gender incongruency, or any mental condition, disorder, disability, or abnormality. For purposes of subdivision, the minor's treating physician must certify in writing that, in the physician's good faith medical judgment based upon the facts known to the physician at the time, ending the medical procedure would be harmful to the minor. The certification must include the findings supporting the certification and must be made part of the minor's medical record. The exception in subdivision does not allow a healthcare provider to perform or administer a medical procedure that is different from the medical procedure performed prior to the effective date of this act when the sole purpose of the different medical procedure is to enable the minor to identify with or live as purportedly identity inconsistent with the minor's sex, or B, treated purported discomfort or distress from a discordance between the minor's sex and asserted identity. Nothing in subdivision obligates a minor's right to bring a case of action against a healthcare provider or the minor's parent pursuit. It is not a defense to any legal liability incurred as the result of a violation of this section that the minor or parent of the minor consented to the conduct that constituted the violation. This section subsedes any common law rule regarding a minor's ability to consent to a medical procedure that is performed or administered for the purposes of enabling the minor to identify with or live as a reportedly identity inconsistent with the minor's sex, or treated purportedly discomfort or distress from a discordance between the minor's sex and asserted identity. It's a lot of repeat, but they have to. Private right of action, except as otherwise provided in subdivision in a minor or the parent or minor injured as a result of the violation of, and these are the codes, may bring a civil case of action to recover compensatory damages, punitive damages, and reasonable attorney fees, court costs, and expenses. I mean, this is crazy. A minor injured as a result of a violation, and this is a order, may bring a civil case of action pursuant to subdivision against the healthcare provider alleged to have violated, and minor's parent if the parent of the minor consented to the conduct that constituted the violation on behalf of the minor. This subdivision supersedes any common law immunity granted to a parent. If this subdivision or its application to any person or circumstances is held invalid, then the invalidity does not affect other provisions or applications of this chapter that can be given effect without this subdivision or application, and to that end, the subdivision is servable. The parent of a minor injured as a result of a violation of, and then it gives the numbers, may bring a civil case of action pursuit and subdivision against a healthcare provider alleged to have violated. The parent of a minor injured as a result of a violation shall not bring a civil case of action against a healthcare provider if the parent consented to the conduct that constituted the violation on behalf of the minor. The parent or next of kin of a minor may bring a wrongful death action, pursuit of Title 20, Chapter 5, Part 1, against the healthcare provider alleged to have violated these codes if the injured minor is deceased and the minor's death is the result of the physical or emotional harm inflicted upon the minor by the violation, and the parent of the minor did not consent to the conduct that constituted the violation on the behalf of the minor. So what are they saying? So say the kid did get the procedure that we're talking about, and then he goes and unlifes himself, that a lawsuit can be brought against them. Oh, they hating that. If that's what I'm reading right, if that's what that means, I don't know. If a court in any civil action brought pursuant to this section finds that a healthcare provider knowingly violated 63.103, then the court shall notify the the appropriate regulatory authority and the Attorney General and reporter by mailing a certified copy of the court's order to the regulatory authority and the Attorney General and reporter. Notifications pursuant to this subsection shall be made upon the judgment of the court being made final. For purposes of subsection, and compensatory damages may include reasonable economic losses caused by the emotional, mental, or physical effects of the violation, including but not limited to the cost of counseling, hospitalization, and any other medical expenses connected with the treating the harm caused by the violation. Any out-of-pocket costs of the minor paid to the healthcare provider for the prohibited to medical procedure and loss of income caused by the violation, and non-economic damages caused by the violation, including but not limited to psychological and emotional anguish. Notwithstanding any law to the contrary, an action commenced under this section must be brought with 30 years from the date that the minor reached 18. What? Within 10 years of the minor's death if the minor dies. This section is declared to be remedial in nature, and this section must be liberally construed to effectual if its purposes. Attorney General and Reporters' Rights Action. Wow. This is a lot. This is a. The Attorney General and reporters shall establish a process by which violations may be reported. The Attorney General and reporter may bring an action against a healthcare provider that knowingly violates 68, 63, 103 within 20 years of the violation. To adjourn further violations, to disgorge any profits received due to the medical procedure, or to recover a civil penalty of $25,000 per violation. A civil penalty collected pursuant to this section must be paid into the general fund of this state. The Attorney General and reporter is entitled to reasonable attorney fees, court costs, and expenses if the Attorney General and reporter prevails in any action brought pursuant to this section. Jurisdiction for an auction brought pursuant to this section is in the chancery or court. Circuit Court of Williams County or Circuit Court in the county where the violation occurred. So, I'm not an attorney. I'm just trying to understand. So that last section we just read, what are they saying? That like if a minor gets this procedure and then 20 years down the road they go and unlive themselves, they could be sued? Taken to a civil court because it's a direct result of this procedure? I don't know. I'm just reading this, and you guys can help me figure this out along the way. Healthcare provider licensing and sections. A violation of 68-3-103 consists of potential threat, constitutes a potential threat to public health, safety, and welfare, and requires emergency action by alleged violators. Appropriated regulatory authority. Upon receiving notifications pursuant to 68-33-104, and upon otherwise becoming aware of an alleged violation, the appropriate regulatory authority shall proceed pursuant to Title 63 or this title as applicable. A minor upon whom a medical procedure is performed or administered must not be held liable for violating. Well, yeah, because this is the whole point. They shouldn't be able to make this kind of decision. Tennessee Code, what is this? Admitted by deleting the section. I don't know what this, okay. If any provision of this act or its application to any person or circumstance is held invalid, then the invalidity does not affect other provisions or applications of this act that can be given effect without the invalid provision or application. Or to that end, the provisions of this act are servable. The headings in this act are for reference purposes only and do not constitute a part of the law enacted by this act. However, the Tennessee Code Commission is requested to include the headings in any compilation of publication containing this act. This act takes effect July 1st, 2023, the public welfare requiring it. So, okay, so why are they doing this now? Why did they bring this suit if this was acted last year? Okay, letting y'all take a look. This is where I got this. This is let's see. It's the General Assembly. Let me see. Window. There we go. Tennessee General Assembly. The legislation. You type in the bill. I just typed in some keywords and this is what came up. So this came up here and then I clicked on it and then it brought that up, which it's showing. Look, I'll click on it. So it's showing this is an amendment. This is to add to this other stuff. So there you go. It gives us a little bit of context on what they're arguing to some extent. And again, I'm not an attorney. I don't understand a lot of this legal stuff, but there was some good stuff in there. I mean, them making the point that these medical professions and these companies are just trying to make money off of these procedures, and you would know they know good damn and well that young people can't be making these altering decisions. Good Lord. Well, anyway, let me know what you think. Please like, subscribe, share. I'd appreciate it, and it'd help me out. Thank you so much. There you go.